ahead of its time. From the jump, the Wii U had problems. Its E3 reveal in 2011 focused almost entirely on the gamepad, with the Nintendo showing golf swings, drawing, and tossing ninja stars, but the console itself barely shown. Even worse, the name Wii U made it sound like an add-on, like the Wii Fit U or the Wii Motion Plus. Parents didn't realize it was a whole new system. Some still don't. And the ads, man, they were rough. You would confuse celebrities awkwardly pretending to play games. No real gameplay, no real explanation of the hardware, just confusing.
It's Peyton, and the best part of the holidays for me is my family's annual tradition of playing video games.
It was like watching a parody of what a Wii ad should be. YouTubers understood the system better than Nintendo actually marketing team. When the Wii U first launched in 2012, it entered a gaming landscape where Sony and Microsoft were already well established, with the PS3 and Xbox 360 respectively. Both consoles were heavily focused on high-definition graphics, powerful processing capabilities, and the immersive online experiences. The Wii U, by comparison, had unique ideas, namely the gamepad, a tablet-like controller that allowed for off-screen play and additional touchscreen functionality. But while the gamepad's innovation was a step forward in some ways, it was simultaneously a major point of confusion, with many consumers initially not understanding that it was a new console, not an accessory to the original Wii. The PS4 and Xbox One, both released in late 2013, drastically outperformed the Wii U in terms of raw graphical power, online capabilities, and overall speed. The PS4 was widely recognized for its superior performance in 1080p gaming and its vast ecosystem of services including PS Plus, PS Now. The Xbox One focused heavily on integrating the console into a broader media experience, including TV and app integration, alongside the promise of the Kinect, though the Kinect's value would diminish over time. On the other hand, the Wii U struggled to keep pace. While it offered some noble ideas, it couldn't match the sheer horsepower of its contemporaries, making it less appealing for third-party developers. As a result, the Wii U became known for its great first-party games, but suffered from a lack of third-party support, a key component of long-term console success, like we've seen with the Switch. Now here's where the Wii U starts to shine. This was Nintendo's first HD console, and games like Super Mario 3D World, Wind Waker HD, and Smash 4 look incredible. The gamepad, sure, it was bulky and had terrible range, but let you play games off TV, browse Miiverse, check maps and inventories, or even play full games without using the TV at all. Sound familiar? Yes, that's exactly what the Switch did. The UI was also pretty slick. The menu was fast, clean, you could make folders. In 2025, we still can't do that on the original Switch. Explain that, Nintendo. And let's not forget, full backwards compatibility with the Wii. You could play physical Wii games, use Wiimotes, and access the virtual Wii menu, aka the VWii, where everything from the old console was just there. And even though it didn't sell well, the Wii U thrived online. This was the era of early Let's Plays and gaming YouTubers blowing up. Channels like DanTDM, Jacksepticeye, and others started uploading Super Mario Maker videos, and it blew up. Mario Maker might have been one of the first games that was actually more fun to watch than to actually play. The Wii U may have not won over mainstream gamers, but it became a staple on YouTube, a creative tool, and a meme factory. Now let's talk games. The Wii U had one of the strongest first-party libraries ever out of any Nintendo console. It just didn't have the audience to appreciate it. You got Mario Kart 8, Super Mario 3D World, Splatoon 1, Pikmin 3, Bayonetta 2, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, Smash 4, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, The Wonderful 101, Wind Waker HD, and Xenoblade Chronicles X. And nearly all of these have since been ported to the Switch, some of them outselling the original Wii U versions by 10 times. I'm talking about Super Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which kind of proves the point. The games weren't the issue, the hardware was. It's like the Wii U was a rough draft and the Switch was the final copy you totally didn't ChatGPT and turn into your teacher. One of the standout titles for the Wii U was Super Mario 3D World, which was an interesting next step in the 3D Mario franchise. It's not as open world as Super Mario 64 or Galaxy or Odyssey, but it took the best parts of those games and delivered a tighter, more focused experience. The level design was incredibly creative, mixing traditional 3D platforming with some of the most imaginative environments Mario had seen in years. What set 3D World apart was the addition of multiplayer, which allowed up to 4 players to control Mario and friends simultaneously. The cooperative play made the game feel like a party experience, and despite some complaints about lack of depth compared to its predecessors, it felt like a perfect fit for the Wii U. It was a game that made good use of the gamepad too, with some unique gameplay elements like the ability to interact with the environment using touchscreen and the onboard microphone on the gamepad. It's one of those games that feels overlooked, but in hindsight, it was a major evolution for Mario, offering a fresh take on the 3D platform genre. Then there's Splatoon, a game that came out of nowhere and turned into one of Nintendo's most iconic franchises. It was Nintendo's first real foray into the shooter genre, but with a twist. Instead of gory battles, you controlled squid-like characters and shot out colorful ink at enemies and the environment. What made Splatoon work was how it captured that Nintendo magic. The fast-paced, easy-to-learn, but hard-to-master gameplay. It was a shooter that didn't really rely on violence, but instead focused on creative, team-based competition. The online multiplayer, despite the Wii U's limited internet capabilities, was a revelation, and it became a staple for the system's library. With its unique style and innovative mechanics, Splatoon was Nintendo's answer to the popularity of online shooters like Call of Duty, but with its own flavor. And by the time the sequel hit the Switch, it had become one of Nintendo's most cherished IPs. Super Smash Bros. For Wii U, or Smash 4, is often regarded as one of the best entries in the franchise, and at the time, it was a massive leap forward. Sure, Melee still had its diehard fan base, but Smash 4 brought the franchise into the HD era, with amazing visuals, smoother gameplay, and even more impressive roster. The attention to detail in Smash 4 is evident, with characters feeling well balanced and the stages offering incredible variety. The use of the gamepad as a secondary screen in multiplayer also works surprisingly well, letting players interact with the game in unique ways. The amiibo integration as well was pushed hard with Smash 4, allowing players to train AI characters that could be used in battle.
Gotta keep training.
At its core, Smash 4 was an incredible, polished, and fun fighter that stood out in the Wii U's library and set the stage for future titles. Mario Kart 8 was arguably the most polished Mario Kart game to date. It took everything that made the series great and made it better. Sharper visuals, smoother gameplay, and an even more robust roster of characters. The addition of anti-gravity sections added a whole new dynamic to the tracks, and the level design was just fantastic. But what really set Mario Kart 8 apart was its use of the gamepad and its multiplayer options. Players could use the gamepad as a secondary screen to track items, or even as a controller for off-screen play. And of course, Mario Kart 8 introduced the amiibo functionality, allowing players to unlock costumes and characters by scanning their figures into the game. It was a game that felt incredibly well thought of and executed, making it the definitive Mario Kart experience at the time. Yoshi's Woolly World is one of the most charming platforms Nintendo's ever made. The game was a visual masterpiece, with its yarn-based art style creating a world that looked like a handcrafted piece of art. Every level was vibrant, detailed, and full personality, making it one of the most visually unique games on the Wii U. But beyond the visuals, Yoshi's Woolly World was a fantastic platformer, with tight controls and puzzles that encouraged exploration. It was a refreshing departure from the usual Yoshi games, and it's often regarded as one of the best Yoshi games ever made. The amiibo integration here was subtle but fun, allowing players to unlock yarn versions of Yoshi, adding to the charm. I mean, look at these guys, they're so cute. But not everything on the Wii U was a winner. Mario Party 10 received a lot of hate, and for good reason. The game felt like a step backwards for the Mario Party series. While previous entries had offered fun minigames and creative boards, Mario Party 10 introduced the Bowser Party mode, where one player controlled Bowser and tried to sabotage the other players. The game was criticized for its lack of traditional board design and the over-reliance on the gamepad. It felt more like a cash grab than a genuine attempt to innovate, and fans of the series were let down by the lack of depth and charm that had been present in earlier games. It's widely considered one of the weakest entries in the franchise. Now, let's talk about one of the games that was supposed to sell the Wii U, Nintendo Land. This was the Wii Sports of the Wii U, the game that came bundled with the system and meant to show off what the new hardware could do, and honestly, it kinda ruled. Nintendo Land was a theme park game made up of 12 minigames, each based on a different Nintendo franchise, but they weren't just shallow party games. A lot of them had depth and polish. You had Luigi's Ghost Mansion, a hide-and-seek game with asymmetric multiplayer where one player, the ghost, used the gamepad screen while the other tried to track them down on the TV. Animal Crossing Sweet Day, where two players controlled guards with the gamepad sticks chasing others who were secretly collecting candy. Legend of Zelda Battle Quest, a co-op sword and bow adventure with surprisingly solid level design. And Donkey Kong's Crash Course, which was painfully hard in a fun, rage-quit kind of way. It was chaotic, it was competitive, it was a blast with friends, especially in the same room, and more importantly, it actually justified the gamepad. It made you go, oh, okay, this is why this exists, and then immediately regret that statement after the freaking thing dies. I just plugged you in, what the f? But that was also the problem. Nintendo Land was at its best with 3, 4, even 5 people in the same room. And by 2012, that kind of local multiplayer wasn't the norm anymore. People wanted online, and Nintendo wasn't ready to deliver that. Still, for people who actually played it, Nintendo Land was one of the best multiplayer games on the system. It was creative, chaotic, and full of that only on Wii U energy that made the console feel special, even if nobody else noticed. And then there's the Amiibo era. Nintendo really pushed the idea of Amiibo figures in the Wii U era, hoping they would catch on like crazy. In games like Smash 4 and Mario Kart 8, Amiibos were subtly integrated. You could unlock new costumes, special items, or even train your own Amiibo fighters. It was a cool gimmick, but it was clear that Nintendo was trying to make Amiibos more than just collectibles. They even went as far as to create some pretty terrible games around the idea, like Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival and Pokemon Rumble U. These games were universally panned and left players wondering if the Amiibo craze was just a desperate cash grab. Still, some of the better integrations like Smash and Mario Kart helped the figures feel like they had a purpose beyond just being toys. And I mean, hey, they're still making them today, and even if you don't use them with the games, they still look like professional and well-designed figures that you could just put on your shelf. One notable trend during the Wii U's lifespan was the parallel development of games for both the Wii U and its handheld cousin, the Nintendo 3DS. Titles like Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and Super Smash Bros. For 3DS represented a unique phenomenon, where the same game could be experienced on both a home console and a handheld device. While the two versions were not identical, they shared many of the same core features, such as character rosters, game modes, offering players a chance to enjoy the same experience on different platforms. Other games like Mario Kart 8 and Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze were paired with 3DS counterparts that were often simplified versions designed to fit the limitations of the handheld console. These ports and cross-platform releases helped ensure that players could experience similar games regardless of whether they owned a Wii U or 3DS. This strategy extended to third-party titles as well, though the Wii U was still at a disadvantage when compared to the PlayStation and Xbox consoles in terms of performance and visual fidelity. One of the weirdest legacies of the Wii U is just how many different bundles there were. You had bundles for New Super Mario Bros. U plus New Super Luigi's U, which was the standard one for a while. The Wind Waker HD bundle with the custom gamepad that looks super slick. A Mario Kart 8 bundle that actually helped boost sales for a bit. And then a Splatoon plus Smash Bros. Double pack bundle. Like bro, that's two of the best multiplayer games of the system packaged together, and still people weren't biting. They even had a Skylanders bundle for kids, a Just Dance bundle for families, and original exclusives like Super Mario Maker bundle and this custom 2D Mario amiibo. It kind of felt like Nintendo kept saying, okay, well, what if we bundle this with this? Now will you buy it? Spoiler, the answer was mostly no. But if you were a Wii U owner during that time, you were eating good. The bundles were cheap, packed with content, honestly way better than what we usually get now with modern consoles. The Wii U eShop and Virtual Console plays a significant role in shaping the console's digital ecosystem. The eShop allowed players to purchase digital versions of games, downloadable content, and other services directly from the console, giving Nintendo a more direct link to its consumers. The eShop provided a wide array of indie games, offering smaller developers a platform to distribute their titles and thrive in the Wii U's relatively niche market, kind of like the Switch. The Virtual Console service, a carryover from the Wii, allowed players to access digital versions of classic titles from past Nintendo consoles. While the Virtual Console selection wasn't as robust as some would have hoped, it provided an excellent way for longtime Nintendo fans to revisit their favorite titles. The fact that the Virtual Console had GameCube games like Super Mario Sunshine and The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker was a highlight for players who may have missed these gems during their original runs. Sadly, many of the Virtual Console titles were eventually transferred to the Nintendo Switch Online service, further distancing the Wii U from relevance. And one of the downsides of this Virtual Console was that if you owned a game on the Wii Virtual Console, you couldn't just easily transfer it to your Wii U Virtual Console for free. You'd have to pay extra to buy it for your Wii U. But okay, let's not sugarcoat it. I've been talking good, but the Wii U has some real issues. 8 GB of storage on the base model, and that's barely enough for one game. I mean, Xenoblade Chronicles X is 16 alone, so you would have had to have paid for the deluxe Wii U or bought an external drive, which seems like a bit of a hassle for families. The gamepad felt cheap, had a bad battery life, and could barely connect past one room. It was still underpowered. Even at launch, it was weaker than what Sony and Microsoft were cooking up. Third-party devs bailed fast. Mass Effect 3 launched solo without the trilogy. Call of Duty support dried up. And then there's the fact that it was overpriced at launch. $299 for the base 8 GB model, or $350 for the 32 GB deluxe model. For a console that looked like a slightly fatter Wii and couldn't compete with the PS4 or Xbox One, it felt like Nintendo was chasing innovation but forgot to explain why we should care. One of the most notable accessories for the Wii U was the Wii U Pro Controller, which offered a more traditional gaming experience compared to the gamepad, with a more ergonomic design and standard control button layout. The Pro Controller was beloved by players who sought a comfortable, familiar controller for long gaming sessions, because I imagine your hands would get cramped after holding this stupid little gamepad for hours upon hours. Other accessories include the Wii U gamepad stand to hold the gamepad in place when not in use, the sensor bar for motion-controlled motion games, and various amiibo figures that worked with games like Super Smash Bros. And Mario Kart 8, like we discussed before. While many of these accessories were well designed, it was clear that the Wii U's overall hardware ecosystem couldn't compete with the more polished and refined setups offered by Sony and Microsoft at the time. I mean, really, are you gonna buy a Wii U Pro Controller or the Kinect?
My voice to select something. All I have to do is say Xbox.
But even in the middle of all that, the Wii U had soul. Miiverse was janky, slow, and super weird, but it was also incredibly charming. You'd log in and see people drawing art in Splatoon, posting secrets in Zelda, or just making dumb jokes. It felt like a tiny town full of nerds. The home screen was full of animated Miis walking around, reacting to games. It was alive. It had warmth. It wasn't sleek like the PS4 dashboard, but it felt like Nintendo actually cared about making something joyful. In the years following its discontinuation in 2017, the Wii U's secondhand market became an interesting phenomenon. While the system was not a sales success, it developed a cult following following due to its library and unique and highly regarded games. As time passed, the scarcity of the console contributed to an increase in demand for the hardware in certain games, such as Super Mario 3D World and Xenoblade Chronicles X. Many of the players who missed the console's lifespan during its initial release began to seek out the Wii U for its distinct offerings, which couldn't be replicated on other platforms. The secondhand market was often filled with bundles that included the console along with the gamepad, though many Wii U consoles had been separated from the accessories by their original owners. Interestingly, the Wii U was also found a new life in the world of emulation, with many enthusiasts leveraging the hardware, unique architecture to play classic Nintendo games from both the Wii U's library and earlier consoles. Flash forward to now, 2025, and the Wii U is having a strange little comeback. Even after the Wii U eShop closed in 2023, the community didn't die, and you also have chads like the completionist who bought every Wii U game. I mean, how is that possible? Where's he getting this money from? Please help this guy. Instead, the modding scene exploded. Custom firmware let you play GameCube games, run emulators, and even restore online features through projects like Nintendo, which is a fan-made server reviving old Wii U multiplayer in Miiverse, which you gotta love, and the compatibility is like near 100%. This is great work, and you should totally check them out if you're in the mood for hacking a Wii U. And for game preservation, the Wii U is kind of a tragedy. Some games like Nintendo Land or the original Mario Maker are now gone, unless you already own them or emulate them. The eShop shutdown wiped out access to a lot of niche gems and virtual consoles. On the bright side, emulation has stepped up. Tools like Cemu make Wii U games run better than ever with enhanced visuals and no gamepad limitations. So, did the Wii U fail? Yeah, financially, no contest. It's one of the Nintendo's worst selling consoles ever, just a little bit better than the Virtual Boy, which is really not saying much. But when you look at the ideas it had, the games it delivered, the community it built, and the blueprint it left for the Switch, it kind of feels like the Wii U was just too early. Like it walked so the Switch could run. In 2012, it felt awkward and out of place. In 2025, it feels kind of legendary. Not in a big flashy way, but in a cult classic kind of way. It wasn't a hit, but it mattered, and honestly, that might be cooler. So yeah, dust off your Wii U, mod it, play it, appreciate it, because this little console was a mess, but it was our mess. Thank you for watching.